very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch, a show that gives you all the latest news and updates from the digital ecosystem. I'm Priya Sheth. It's 5 p.m. Thank you so much for logging in. I'm here as usual with the top news headlines that we've been tracking this evening. Fireside Ventures has closed its second fund at 863 crore rupees. It plans to invest these funds in 15 to 20 consumer brand startups and will continue to focus on digital-first startups. From its first fund, Fireside Ventures has invested in companies like Boat and Mamaearth. Well, moving on to the second headline of the day, Ola has partnered with Siemens to set up an electric vehicle manufacturing facility in Tamil Nadu. It is expected to generate 10,000 jobs and have an initial production capacity of 2 million units. It is also expected to be one of the largest scooter manufacturing facilities in the world. Financial tech startup for merchants BharatPe has raised an additional 50 crore rupees via debt funding from Trifecta Capital. This is its third tranche of debt fund financing raised by BharatPe. To remember that BharatPe plans to use these funds to catapult its lending business and offer loans to millions of merchants and kirana shops. Furniture rental startup Furlenco has raised 20 crore rupees from Black Soil Capital in a venture debt funding round. Remember that Furlenco has raised $51 million in terms of equity funding and $45 million in terms of debt funding from investors. Well, moving on to our second segment, we have with us somebody who has really brought Greek yogurt to India with the brand Epigamia. We have with us Rohan Mirchandani, who is the CEO and co-founder of Drums Foods, which makes Epigamia yogurt. Thank you, Rohan, and thank you for joining in on the Daily Dispatch. The last 9 months have been challenging for almost every company out there. How difficult or challenging was it for you at Epigamia, considering that you have a cold chain that you have to constantly support to get your products to the market?
Well, first of all, my pleasure being here, Priya. Always a pleasure to chat with you. And thanks for having me on. I think the last 9 months has been difficult for everybody, as everyone knows. But somehow, I'm very proud to say that the folks at Drums Food, where I'm a founder, we somehow thrive at our best when our backs are to the wall and in super challenging situations. And while there was many challenging situations across the board, and of course, in March of last year, no one knew what was going to happen. I think for us, one of the saving graces was the fact that we were in the fresh food category. Cold chain is there because it's fresh FMCG, yogurt, Greek yogurt, even curd and other products. And we were able to at least see a lot of demand from consumers at home, reaching out, asking for it. The challenge was, how do we get the product to them when everything was shut down? And therefore, we went on a whole different trajectory, and a lot of our peers and everyone has sort of followed suit, is where we chose to establish a direct-to-consumer D2C channel, where we already had our own cold chain, as you and I have discussed in the past and in prior interviews. And we decided to deliver directly to people at home, foregoing costs at that point, because for us, what was most important was to service our consumers. And that was something we decided to do. We literally put together a website in 2 weeks in April, launched it in May. And now it's a channel for us that we're sort of pushing. And we're not a digitally first brand. We're a digitally third or fourth brand. We've always been more traditional FMCG as far as the business model. Of course, our disruptiveness comes from the brand and the products. And that's the route we chose to sort of pursue.
So if I may call this an omni-channel play, where you're looking at both leveraging the strengths of your offline presence as well as building a stronger online presence, how has that strategy played out? If you could share some numbers in terms of what has been the kind of growth that you've seen over the last couple of months. And if you look at pre-COVID figures, are you already back on track in terms of overall sales?
Oh yes, so we this quarter versus last quarter, the same Q4 of FY20 versus Q4 FY21, we're going to grow about 40%. Last quarter we grew approximately 22%, and the prior quarter we were flat, and of course the first quarter we had to drip because things were shut. We didn't have an option. We made our recovery in around August. So July, August is when our recovery took place, and that's when really, especially food being essential, opened up, and we were able to make our deliveries. The difference is, as you rightfully said, the channel mix has now completely changed. So whereas you had a digital business, which was composed of our e-commerce as well as direct to consumer, which didn't exist last year, would have contributed maybe 4 or 5% of our revenues, today is contributing more than 30% of our revenues. So that's a completely different shift in terms of where the channel contribution is. We had a Horeca segment, alternate as we call it, which was about 15 to 20% of our revenues, which is now minuscule. So we used to supply to schools and airlines and airports, hotels and breakfast buffets. And as you can imagine, that business is now maybe 2 or 3% of our overall business. Office complexes, for that matter, many of them. So while we've recovered fully and wholeheartedly, and that's been promising, there are still channels like that Horeca channel which are still shut to us in terms of demand, at least. But we're seeing some early signs now, sitting here in January, mid-Jan, and we're hoping that in the next 2 or 3 months, as people move on from this crisis, that channel gets activated again. But so that's sort of been the main difference, is the channel focus.
A lot of players at this point in time, because of the kind of work from home environment, more people staying at home, consumption numbers going up, a lot of companies have introduced new products. Product launches have really hit the roof if you look at the last 3 to 4 months in terms of trends. At Epigame, I wanted to understand what is the kind of strategy when it comes to new products and diversification. Are you looking at adding more products to the portfolio at this point?
One of the movements that we sort of have been witnessing, and it's been close to our ears for the last, I'd say, 2 years or 2.5 years, is this whole plant-based movement, moving towards plant-based. I think the other way to say it is vegan foods. Now, we personally at Epigamia don't take a position. We think everyone has the right to choose their own diet, and we believe in a healthy balance. But we also believe in allowing you to have a plethora of options to choose from. So this time frame, like you rightfully pointed out, this sort of crisis allowed us to work behind the scenes and speed up some of these products, which we probably would not have launched till much later. But we launched Pan-India's first plant-based yogurt. There have been a few players that have launched locally, but ours was the first Pan-India launch. So it was a coconut-based instead of dairy-based yogurt. We also have launched, we're in the process of launching a few more products in that category. And then we have another crazy product that we're going to launch in 2 months or so. So we've been working behind the scenes nonstop to come up with new, innovative yet nutritious products that have substantial functional needs depending on everyone's diet that they choose to follow.
I heard the word crazy product that you're going to be launching a couple of months down the line. Take us through what that crazy product can be. Is it a different category that you're going to be diversifying into?
One category that there are some products out there that we have launched. It's been test piloting, but one product category that we're very excited about is ghee. We think ghee is as Indian as one can get in the DNA, but it's a product that we haven't seen a disruption in many years. And we have some really, really crazy things planned with ghee, which we're very excited to do in the coming months.
Okay, so I hear that 2021 is going to be an exciting year for Epigamia. Ghee to be launched soon, and we're also going to be expecting more plant-based products into the market. But if you look at the kind of investment that you require for these kind of launches, is there some roadmap in terms of how much you'd like to invest in at this point in time? And are you speaking to investors to pump in more money?
So today, in fact, in a very efficient manner, our direct-to-consumer channel has become an R&D platform for us, where we can continuously test new products. But we're still learning. We just had a campaign last week where our deliveries got a little messed up, and it's a whole new game for us. But we're perfectly fine, and we apologize to any consumer listening. If you didn't get your delivery on time, we will get it to you. My commitment. But the idea is that this channel allows us to test so many different things in a very cost-efficient manner, Priya. We don't have to do mass production. We can do a small batch, test it with this base, and only if we feel confidence, then invest behind it. To answer your second question about funding, we raised our Series C round 2 years ago, and we still have a substantial amount of that left. We did do a little bit of a top-up last year with some of our investors, all internal, so nothing external. They themselves approached, and it was a great thing to do. So we're pretty well capitalized right now, and at least, we don't intend right now. For us, the focus is business and trying to scale it up.
Right. So no plans for funding as of now, but then run us through some revenue targets that you may have going forward. I do understand that you'll have been seeing a healthy revenue growth on a year-on-year basis. What are your
Yeah.
targets for the next financial year, if I may ask, in terms of overall revenue? And, any larger targets that you may have at Epigamia in terms of, what's the kind of reach that you'd like to get over the e-commerce or the omni-channel presence?
Yeah, so I think so let's break it down. I think one of the things that happened to us the first quarter of last year, which is right when we were in the height of the COVID crisis, and I think it's fair that a lot of people took this approach, was to conserve cash and really focus on the margins, whereas the goals before was always growth. Fortunately, we were able to really discover when we all sat down and since growth was not only flat, it was negative because everything was shut. We were able to really focus and realize where we can extract margins, where we had operating leverage, what we could focus on. I think since the time I spoke to you last, I don't know how long ago that was, but maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but our margins have increased drastically to the extent we're pretty much break even across the board. Maybe a few pockets where we're investing behind for distribution expansion, which is coming a very long way from where we were 2 or 3 years ago. Sitting where we are today, we see that margin growth happen because we're able to capitalize on the fixed cost infrastructure we have, which is our cold chain, our distribution, and things of that nature. So the new product launches help. Every time there's a new product launch and it succeeds, it helps us to sort of use our operating leverage to increase margins. And that's going to be a big focus, and it's a focus for the company going forward, which is why we've been able to preserve so much cash. Normally fundraisers are for 18 months. We're sitting 2 years later, and we're still sitting on that cash. And I think that's been a kudos to the team. They've done a brilliant job. But that being said, it allows us to now to invest behind some serious growth again. And like you rightfully alluded to, digital is one area where we really like to focus on. But we also are still very excited and extremely bullish on traditional trade as well. I think in October, we saw that the pickup happen. Diwali, there was a little bit of a drop, but again, this month we're seeing that pick up again. And I think it's a lot driven by sentiment. People are going out again. People are going to shop again from the stores. And that creates a lot of excitement. So for us, it'll be an omni-channel push in terms of, except for the HoReCa segment, I think we'll still be, at least we'll be cautious. We may not push anything there right now, but everywhere else we see, a lot of push. And our target for FY22, which will be year ended March 22, is 200 crores is the top line we're projecting.
All right, we'll wait and watch as to how you clock these kind of numbers and what will be the kind of strategies that you put in place to achieve this kind of growth. On that note, Rohan, many thanks for joining us. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for being a part of Daily Dispatch.
Well, that's all the time we had on this show today. Goodbye and many thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Don't forget to log in.